You know, Watchmen is a lot like candy for me. I'll sit there and I'll dive right into it and I'll stuff my face and just keep eating and keep eating until I get sick. You know, sick of it for a little bit. Still love it, but I look at it and it just makes me nauseous, and I have that hangover, and that's kind of what's you know, where we did the where a bunch of us did the Watchmen reviews and talking about before Watchmen and all this stuff. You know, kind of got like a big sugar hangover from all of it and stuff. And you know, Sleepy Reader 666 was the first one I kind of heard mention it, and you know, it happens. That's the thing about Watchmen, and I think that's why we get like a hangover from it and stuff. But I'm one of the few people who I think I picked up some books, and pretty much they were all pretty good. It wasn't exactly a lot of the mainstream stuff or what you're hearing about and stuff, but I'm doing this video on one book, and it is the Before Watchmen Silk Spectre book. Okay, the magic of these Before Watchmen books, and we had Minutemen #1 come out last week by Darwin Cook. This week we have the second series that's coming out, Silk Spectre #1, Darwin Cook, and Amanda Conner. And Amanda Conner apparently does some kind of co-plotting with it, and I think I know where I've seen this. But what I'm really liking about these books, if there's a plus for anything with them, is you go back and you reread them. You enjoy them. You go through them. It's I can't think of the last time that a book really made me go back and do that. I mean, I got books I pull out and reread and stuff, but I'm talking about the newer stuff that's come out in the last couple of years. I really don't get a lot of newer books anywhere near like I used to. But you go back and you reread them and stuff. So there is definitely some kind of magic in these books. You know, I'm going to give credit where credit's due, based solely on the work. And the Silk Spectre is deceptive. Okay, I read it through that one time, and I was like, not bad. And it did the Watchmen effect. It actually started kind of haunting me a little bit, because there was more in here than I picked up on, and I caught myself thinking about it. You know, I'm into comic books, man, but I don't go around all the time thinking comic. But there's something about this story. The trick with the Watchmen series itself, I'll hold this up while I'm talking. The Watchmen series itself is that it wasn't really a superhero story. It was a science fiction story. Okay, and it was my review of the Minutemen that I had last week. Looked at it. There was a few things that kind of bothered me about that. It actually felt kind of comic booky. It was all introduction. It was good, and it's a teen book. This one, though, feels like it is in the Watchmen world. It's got some of the 9-panel grids in it. The colors aren't muted and stuff like they were. I mean, they're still, you know, you got like, you know, the sky still has some browns and some blues, you know, so don't get me wrong. But I'm going to get on with the book because I don't want this to drag out. And, you know, what we're going to do is, you know, we start out with this snow globe. And Lori's very little. If I remember right from the Watchmen book, she was born in 1950. And when you get closer to the snow globe, what was interesting is Amanda Conner had drew the family inside the snow globe. And this is what I was saying. I just kind of read through this, and I didn't realize, but there's some symbolism in here. Okay, Lori's mom yells at her, and it breaks. And Lori already knows that she is divorcing. Her mom tells her he's not coming back. Shattered. Like, you know, and that snow globe plays into the Watchmen. That's where she looked at the wonder and everything like that. And you can go from there, you know, interpret it from there. And they have this talk. And then Amanda Conner co-plotted this, and I've read articles about her and stuff, where she says she likes to talk to the writers, tries to explain to them how women would change up their costume. Kind of, if you got a female character, they need to act female. Okay? Now, any female watchers out there and stuff, you just have no idea how we try, or I try, I'll speak for myself, I try, but, you know, I'm a Martian trying to breathe the air on Venus. You know, that's what it's like, you know. So that's one of the things about this book that I really enjoyed, man. It was actually, the story felt so familiar. Okay, it's a mother and a daughter. And the reason it feels so familiar is that I've seen it. I remember, you know, having a neighbor when I was in high school. her and her mom went back and forth, and then I had a friend who had a daughter, and when she turned 16 or 17, and excuse me here, if you have little kids, turn your ears off and stuff. When they found out her daughter, I mean, I walked right in the middle of a mess, just visiting, and I was invited, and apparently some bombshell came out where she decided to tell her mom she lost her virginity, and it was, I'm a woman now, and it's like, well, you're still under my roof, and you're still my daughter, and I was like, oh my God, So anyway, but Amanda Connor tells a whole, this is why the story's haunting me. Look at that middle panel. Those little girl eyes, and then her mom just looking at her, and that expression on her face. There is so much emotion in these faces. Okay, that's the magic of the story. She's sitting here telling her daughter, when you read it, you knew they split up. You already knew the Silk Spectre, they divorced, and they got out there and stuff, and this woman is just looking at her daughter, wanting to be protective and stuff. Now you got to understand, the Silk Spectre, the original one, had a reputation. Okay, she was a sex symbol. She flirted with the guys. Go back and watch the Watchmen movie, because Zack Snyder got it when she's posing with a bunch of cops during that famous opening. One of the cops is looking down her cleavage and stuff, And, I started picking this up. Then we flash forward to 1966. Laura's been training all her life, and she's doing pole vaulting, and she's got these cattiness from these girls, and she's got this boy watching her, and they're all like amazing. And Laurie's sort of on the outside, man. It's like her mom has made sure they've lived in that snow globe. She doesn't have time with her friends and stuff. And now that she's getting older, this boy who comes in there, man, she's having visions of marriage. Every time he compliments her, shows her some attention, and her, she just kind of dozes off, and he has to snap her back into reality, So she meets this boy, and there it is, and her mom, meets her mom. The mom picks her up, sees the boy, and gives her a little hint, like, well, I guess I can just take him out. You got your studies and training to do. And then here where we come in, what's going through Laurie's head. And just look at these looks. I mean, I just got a feeling this is something that a mother and daughter have all said. And Amanda Connor, man, this is just, she's just really impressed me on this. So Laurie gets home, tries on her mom's outfit, and we got the 9-panel grid, man. We're back in the Watchmen verse. And there's a little thing there where she's trying to fill out the suit there, and that look on her face, just rolling those eyes. I work with kids. I have seen that look from little girls more than you know. I mean, and it's nailed there. I mean, it's just amazing. So she's watching TV, and this is where the story actually felt like, it's familiar to me. I have seen this in a movie or something, but she gets attacked, and there's a big fight. Let me get a good panel there. Okay? So she is 16, and she fights, and she fights, and she scratches, and that panel there with the blood and stuff like that, now that I'm watching this stuff, some of this is very reminiscent of issue 2 of Watchmen, in my eyes, of where she got raped. Instead of a pool table, she looks like she's on a counter, I think, or no, they're on the floor and stuff. And but it's the hands there. It's like the hooded justice holding up the comedian, and there's that, there's that blood, And her mom wants to know what was that, and she finally goes off on her mom. I'm sick of you persecuting the, trying to control my whole life. Do you want me to train? Well, I showed you what you got. It just blew my mind and breaks her mom's heart. And all of a sudden her mom's like wanting to scold her for putting her down, saying people can say nasty things about her, and all of a sudden she sees her daughter is bleeding, and the eyes and the face and all that stuff is just, it's all there. And of course we get Silk Spectre and Night Owl talking, and it's like a surrogate father, and there's little pictures in the background. Apparently when her husband left, what was left of the Minutemen all stepped up and kind of took those roles, and she's trying to take up for Laurie and let her tell her to spread her wings and stuff. Laurie sneaks out and goes and sees this boy, and again, this felt so familiar, man. But this is high school. This is romance. And all of a sudden he's a bad boy. They're talking about how his dad wants to be a man and trains him. He wants him to be a Marine, and he whips out a cigarette and pops open a beer on the football field, and it splatters all over him. And he's got a little bit of that bad boy in him. Takes off his shirt. We got skin, and there's bruises, and they got the same bruises because his dad makes him box him to be a man, and his mom's training him, and he kisses one of her boo-boos, and she's just out in outer space. I mean, it's just, It goes on like that, and then they go to a diner, and there's all these girls like watch and learn because Laurie never comes out and she shouldn't be in there. And she just nails her, says she's going to be trashed like her mom, and just sets her up, man. There's no way. Amanda Connor, I'm telling you, she's pulling from her high school years. Just embarrasses her. But basically, she looks at her and says she doesn't see the resemblance with her and her mom until she takes a little bit of whipped cream and puts the white stuff on her face. And goes, oh, I see it now. I read that and my mouth just dropped. I was like, holy crap, man. Humiliating her in front of this boyfriend, in front of everybody. She goes home. Her mom's crying, worried, sick about her. And this is where I got it. She keeps accusing her mom of saying, you want me to be you, and you want me to be the Silk Spectre, and it's still all about you, and it's all about you. She keeps telling her mom it's all about her. Well, apparently I don't think Laurie has read this book yet. If I remember right, she did. She didn't read it until the 70s and stuff. Her mom doesn't want her mom is still traumatized from when the comedian tried to rape her. And that said a whole lot to me, because it's not said. It's in her eyes. It's if you know the story and whatnot. So Laurie packs up, tells her mom off, runs, gets the guy. And the guy is very comedian-like. I mean, he kind of looks like the comedian. He's got a little bit of that bad boy in him. I mean, I don't think he did anything. And you find out that Laurie knocked that girl out. You know, I know you didn't see that. So, you know, they run off together and they share a little kiss by the sunset, and then they hitchhike, and we get a hippie van. They're asking them where do they go. He goes, it depends. He goes, what's your destination? He goes, we're not sure. Perfect. We don't know where we're not sure is, but we'll take you to San Francisco, and then there we go. And that story has a lot in there to really think about. If you think about the source material, the Watchmen and stuff, they're kind of plugging it in, and it's got momentum, and there's a lot said in there. And then, you know, I know Darwin Cook wrote it and stuff like that, but it's the Gibbons effect, man. She put a whole lot in there. And I tell you what it was reminding me of. I'm really glad that a female is putting her voice in there, because, you know, whenever men like try to do young romance, it's back in when they were doing these books, it was 40-year-old men and stuff like that doing what they thought how women was supposed to act, and it was all hokey and romantic, and the girls were just all into these dreamy bad boys and guys, and it was bad, you know. And here's an example. You know, this is a 100-page young romance, and that's one of the things that got me about this book, because a lover's question is, how could I possibly have lived on the earth all these years without knowing you? And the lover's answer should be, I've never lived before I met you, I merely existed, you know. And this girl's being catty, and girls crying and swooning, and oh, what are they going to do without this guy, and I have to get married so he can rescue me and take care of me and stuff. And then all of a sudden you got like a real high school romance going on here, probably her first boyfriend. And this is also the same year. If she's 16, that means by the end of this series, a perfect ending would be showing her driving up to try to be part of the Crime Busters, and that's the night she met Dr. Manhattan. And it's going to mess me up if I find out that Dr. Manhattan actually like took her virginity, because it's going to make her and Dan just be a whole different thing. So it's kind of sucked me in onto like the romantic parts of the Watchmen, you know. So yeah, thumbs up for the Silk Spectre, and we'll just leave it at that. I know I've got more to say, but good book.